Hey, worship leader, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jimmy Cooper, and I have a special guest with us today. His name is Justin. Justin, welcome. How you doing?
Hi, Jimmy. I'm Justin Chan, and I am from the channel All About Worship Guitar.
That's right.
It's
You have your
been
own YouTube channel. What's it called again?
All About Worship Guitar. I haven't done the YouTube thing of customizing the name to mine something a bit more on brand. But right now, it's a different name on
Well, they
YouTube.
say they say when you're getting a YouTube channel, you want to make sure people know exactly what you're going to be talking about, and I think you hit that right on the nose there. Hey, worship leader, it's just like, what are we going to talk about? It's just all things worship ministry, which that could be tons of different things, which that's
Which
fine.
is great, which is great. I wish I were a bit more focused in that.
Well, man, it's good to have you on here. Where are you located in the world right now?
I'm in Singapore, which is at the very tip of Southeast Asia. If you know where Thailand is and know where Malaysia is, Singapore is right at the bottom, and we are 12 hours apart. So it's morning for Jimmy and night for me.
That's
So
right.
hence, if you hear my voice, I'm a bit like like my caffeine crash is coming soon, I think.
We both have that voice because I just woke up not long ago. I'm getting my tea. All the kids, sometimes the kids in the house, they'll wake up super early and the house is busy. And then sometimes we stay up too late, which was last night. We had people over. And so all the kids slept in a little bit. Our youngest is still sleeping. So when she wakes up, there might be some screaming in the background, but that's okay.
Likewise, my 7-month-old daughter is going to be she's going to turn 8 months next week, and she just fell asleep not too long ago. Hopefully, she doesn't wake up in the middle of a take. So if you hear crying, yes, I do apologize for that too.
That's okay because we're home life and this is YouTube. So I can cut it out. Anyway, dad joke. Awesome. So I wanted to have you on the channel because I saw a video of yours on your All About Worship Guitar channel, and I liked it. I was like, oh, this guy, you're hitting on all the points that I usually talk about, specifically about this little piece of gear, the HX Stomp, and about why this piece of gear is maybe better than some of the other ones, or why it's good to run this as an all-in-one unit. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and just kind of chat about gear because people like to talk about gear. I do, you do, and it helps a lot of worship folk because when I was looking into getting this, I remember just looking up videos all the time, trying to just do my research because a lot of times we don't have a lot of money to spend in the worship world, and so we're wanting to make the best decision possible. So my goal for today is to talk about pros and cons, what we like about this, and maybe it'll help someone make a good financial decision, a good tone decision, and so yeah. So when was the first time you got a hold of the HX Stomp stuff?
The Ajax Storm for me was there's a bit of background about myself. I graduated seminary in Singapore in 2019, and my wife wanted to buy me a graduation present. So that was one of the things that I put on the wish list, and it's quite dangerous when I put things on the wish list because my wife actually does follow through. She did buy for me the HX Stomp, and at this time, I've already owned a Helix, the flagship big one unit, for about a year. So I did go into the HX Stomp knowing a bit of how the ecosystem works.
Yeah.
And with the HX Stomp, it was a so my entry into HX Stomp was a bit faster than most people because I already knew how the interface worked. I knew the UI, how things were organized from the Line 6 user perspective.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, but that's kind of the exact opposite of me. I had a full pedal board. I really liked it. I had like a Strymon timeline on there, had a really good compressor. It was everything I wanted. Really nice, big old pedal board. Heavy though, it was heavy, and I mean, really, I had surgery and I couldn't lift that much, and so I was like, man, I need something small. And I saw this thing, and I was like, one of the things I saw was like, people, you could just put this in your backpack, and I was like, well, that's very appealing because carrying my guitar, this big old case, and an amp, I could never go anywhere all in one. I had to take two trips no matter what because there's three big items to carry, and I used to hate that. But I didn't know anything about the HX Stomp when I finally got it, and I actually have a video on the channel where I'm talking about it. I watched it the other day. It's my first HX Stomp video, and I didn't know hardly anything about it, and I was trying to teach people something, but I didn't really know. I was like, it also takes IRs, which I didn't even know what that meant at the time. I had no idea. Like I was completely new to the world of, I just usually just plug in and play, and I didn't know much about gear. But man, I dove in, and it really is, it's a really great option for people. It was a great option for me. I had a tube amp for years, and still have access to my old one because the church bought it as like a backup rig. But I had a really nice Tyler HM18 amp, and it just sat on the shelf
Nice.
for over a year. I know, I loved it. I loved it. And I sometimes I hate that I gave it away, but and I'm like, not really, because I'm never gonna play it. Like it would have just been a collector's item, and then I sold it to like buy a camera for YouTube or something, just other gear that I actually needed. So I never not go direct anymore. I think a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago now, I did play through the Blues Junior just to try it. And it was fun. It was fine. But I was like, it's just so much more work. And this is so much better, and I can dial in my tones at home. And so, anyways, lots of benefits. What are some of the benefits that you would tell somebody about the HX Stomp if they're looking to buy one?
Well, if you're going that far back, I actually do come from a tube amp background as well. I had a PT Pro with same thing, the Strymon trifecta. Well, that's a big word to say, but I had
At all
everything and the
three?
big ones, all three. Yeah, and actually, I still have it here under my desk, but I haven't really touched it in months. But sorry, Google Audio guys. Yeah. I and also just to share some a little bit more background, I also come from, I had two amps. I had a AC15 hand wired, and I had a THD Univalve, which was a 1x12 closed back kind of a combo, and I had them in stereo. And I kid you not, it took me about half an hour, 45 minutes each time I had to lug the pedal board plus the two amps plus the guitar. So not just two trips, like three or four trips, because each amp was really heavy.
Yeah.
And that took time away from that meant extra time to come to rehearsal on time. That meant extra time to set everything up. So I'd be there really early, or like confession time. Sometimes I'm on time for rehearsal, but because I take up that much time to set it up, everyone's like kind of waiting for me. And after a while, it just got to the point where I thought it wasn't going to be very honoring to other people who came on time and set up on time, ready to go. So I started exploring digital options, and at the time, I had a Line 6 Pod X3 Live, which is the something. This is telling you how old I am, but I had a Pod X3, was the really big one.
Wow.
And after that, that was just digital life for me all the way. I was It was just really good to just plug in, turn it on, and my sound's ready. And so that's really the biggest advantage I think with HX Stomp, is that you save time, not just saving time for yourself, but saving time so that you are in the moment with your team, that you
Mm.
are you cut down your setup time, you cut down your troubleshooting time, because if you have a big pedal board, sometimes you plug everything in and realize there's still no sound. The patch cable's not working, or that power supply broke down. And I kid you not, I did a worship concert in Johor Bahru, which is our neighbor, and one of the power supplies on my big board died, and I didn't have delay. I didn't have my delay pedal. Well, actually, no. My whole wet section was wiped out for that particular concert, so I was going dry into the concert, and I was like, like just one small thing broke, and everything kind of didn't work. So
Yeah.
it's quite nice to be able to plug one small thing in and turn it on, fire it up. Tones are ready. No need for the placing the mic to where can I place the microphone. There's the miking technique to mic up the amp. There's the just having to balance the pedal board levels going to the amp and that sort of thing. And even worse if you have if you need to balance send and return levels on the amp, because sometimes you have like, I want to do 4 cable method with my pedal board, and added additional complications. Just simplify everything down, plug and play. That really should be the way for us to go as worship ministers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do worship leaders even think about other people's schedules and stuff? Being on time, waiting on worship leaders. I need to do a video called "Waiting on Worship Leaders," but yeah, because it's important to me because I try to be on time and have everything done, and sometimes we fail. That's not the point, but I think it's honoring to God when we have everything, we show up ready to go, and that's not to say if somebody has a tube amp and they have a big setup, and they're responsible to get it all together. We're not saying that's a bad thing, but when it starts getting in the way, and I would say, man, right before I got the HX Stomp, I had my big board and I'd play with it and I'd move the pedals around, make sure all my cables were right, and it would be fine at home during my practice. And then I would get somewhere live and then something happened. And I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I remember playing in chapel where I played yesterday with the Helix. And I was going through a big swelling in a prayer moment, everybody's praying, and something glitched something. And it just, with the delay and the reverb, went very distracting in the moment. I mean, I can almost laugh about it now, but at the time it's like, man, somebody was praying. It was just super distracting. And I was like, man, I'm just too nervous almost to play because you never know what's going to happen unless you can afford to like have it professionally built, which I don't know many of us that can send their pedal boards off to like the rig doctor or something to have him professionally do it. There could always be something. And even then, patch cables fail. And so it's been a super peace of mind just to have an all-in-one unit. So now that could be true of the Helix, HX Stomp, but specifically the HX Stomp. That's what we're talking about today. I guess the size of this. So what are some other benefits you think about the Helix, which I recently got the LT. I've been playing through it just to try some of my new presets, which we'll talk about that in a bit. And you also have presets, right? Don't you have presets?
I do. I have presets. I have presets on my Buy Me a Coffee page, which is because I can't afford to have my own website at the moment, so I'm using Buy Me a Coffee as like the host for my the stuff that I like to put on online.
Yeah. So if you guys want to go support his channel, go check out those presets. And presets are a good way to just the reason I make presets, because some people are just like very against buying presets. And I was like, just because they're for sale doesn't mean you have to buy them. Number one, like nobody's making you buy presets. But for me, presets were, when I was first getting started, helped me see how other people whose tone I loved were putting together their signal chain. I'm very hands-on, very visual. And so having presets done for me, seeing all the settings, it was just super helpful. So that's my goal. I have the Expanse Pack, which I guess I'll talk about it now. It's a buy once, you get free updates for life. It's not a subscription. And I have it for all of the units. So whether it's HX Stomp, the XL, or the Helix, or even HX Effects, you can get those. But it's just like all my favorite stuff. So when I dial things in the way I like it, same with your presets. It's what we like. And so, people are like, man, I want to sound just like Justin. You can at least have a good starting point. Because tone is in the fingers. I mean, tone's not in a preset. So I saw on Facebook yesterday, somebody's like, somebody have a really good Stevie Ray Vaughan preset? And someone's like, you're not going to sound like him with a preset. Like, that's not the secret. But they are a good starting point. Anyways,
I do have to say that for you guys who are watching this channel, do check out his presets, because I did download his Mandarin Rocker preset on the. You're doing a survey thing, right? Man, that's really good. There were some things there that in the preset that I thought were quite interesting. I have never considered using those particular blocks before, and wow, put them there, it works, and like, wow, okay, this is really cool. So, shameless plug for Jimmy, go get this preset.
Yes, that particular preset is not even in the Expanse Pack. I called it like the exclusive rocker because I'm doing a survey for the, but they can still get it because it'll be linked down below. I'm doing a survey for a course I'm trying to build, and I was just getting a lot of feedback and giving away a preset. And I need to go back and revisit that preset because it's been a while but I remember liking it. But yeah, anyways, tons of stuff in there. So when thinking about like Helix versus HX Stomp, you have this huge board that is the Helix, and then you have this. Fits in your backpack. What would you tell somebody if you're like, hey, get this, get the Helix, get the HX Stomp XL? What would you tell somebody? What do you tell people if they ask?
I think it depends on the role you play on your worship team, and I think that it comes down to how much you can octopus with your mind. How much of your mind can you allocate to playing the guitar in the moment? As I serve as not just as a worship leader, but also as a music director. And as a music director, I am the guy behind the microphone giving instructions to everybody. And sometimes I just really don't have that kind of mental space to keep track of what's going on the board side of things. So HX Storm really helps me to streamline what I need to focus on. And if, of course, if you're a guitar player, I mean, if you're only the guitar player and you've got, you have the mental space to think about at this, right at the verse, I'm going to hit snapshot 4, right at this particular bridge, I'll hit snapshot 7, and so on and so forth. And it also depends on the size of your band. If you are in a band that's pretty big and you don't need to worry about complicated signal chains, you don't need to worry about coming up with that heaven come down Holy Spirit swell patch that requires 5 delays or 5 reverbs at the same time. If you need that because your band is smaller and you are like also the keyboardist, then the bigger Helix is going to be your it's going to help you get that kind of sound. But if you're in a bigger band, in my band, I used to serve of course, things have changed since the coronavirus happened, but in my old band, I used to serve with a keyboardist, a bass player, a rhythm guitar player, myself, and that my keyboardist is really good. She did pads, she did sound, she did synth tones, all that. So I didn't have to worry about pads and swells and all that. So I could just focus on electric guitar tones. And let's face it, on a Sunday morning, you've got 4 songs and the electric guitar only has clean crunch lead sounds. And if I'm music directing, I also don't get to play those lead sounds anyway because I'm too busy. I can't I can't direct and lead it. I'm not Lincoln Brewster, so I can't do this and I say chorus 2, 3, 4. No, that's not possible with me. So keep it simple, rhythm guitar most of the time. And with that in mind, the HX Stomp is a good fit for people who don't need to play so much on the stage and who also might be multitasking on other things as well. Because the HX Stomp can do a few other things too. It's also my control center for Ableton Live, which I also run. I mean, Jimmy also has a few videos on running Ableton, and the HX Stomp can be the interface for Ableton. If you run your patch mono, you can use one side for tracks. You can use the send on the right side of the Stomp unit. You can use that to send the cue and the click track to the. Oh yeah, you got that there. Yeah, so that TRS send there. I use it to send cues and tracks to our in-ear monitoring system.
Okay.
Yeah, so that and all that on one tiny unit. It's quite an amazing piece of kit, actually.
Right. Are you using Command Center to send MIDI cues out there? Is that how you do it, or?
I can do that. Ever since, but of course, I implemented Ableton before that update came out. But since the update came out, I've been using Command Center to assign one foot switch to progress forward for the next marker, and that's or because I'm sure you also watched Church Front's videos on setting up Ableton Live, and there was the basically the way to loop the section before going in the song. Yeah, I got that one button to advance to the next marker for the next song.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, I actually hooked it up. This was probably sometime last year. I was like, I want to control Ableton with this if I can. And then you can also have Ableton control your Helix device. Like if you're a worship leader that doesn't want to have to worry about clicking, when it passes those markers, it can switch snapshots for you and stuff like that, which is just pretty cool. I already forgot how to do it, but I know how to do it. It's just been a long time.
I do that all the time. That's like, so that's the thing. That's not very possible on a big pedal board, right? Or a traditional analog pedal board. You got to do the tap dancing and all that. But Helix, HX Storm, MIDI is just a wonderful invention. It just passes the marker and boom, everything changes, and I just don't even worry about it at all.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a very good point about technology. Once you can wrap your head around it, from my experience, even me, I feel like I'm trying to catch up with technology and understanding MIDI. And I mean, when I first got the Stomp, I didn't even know what a impulse response was. I didn't know anything. Nobody ever taught me. And even now, I'll make videos about something and I'll dive into that topic. But then, 10 months will go by and I'm like, Oh yeah, someone asked me a question. I have to go back and watch my own video so I can remember how to do it because information just flows in, but sometimes right back out. So, and that's okay.
We the videos are not just for our viewers; it's also for ourselves as our own reference. I do that all the time in my reference videos too. In fact, before I made the focus into all about worship guitar, it was really more generic electric guitar because this was the time before I committed myself to full time worship ministry, and there were like songs by Melody. No, well, okay. So there were secular songs on the channel, and like
Yeah.
sometimes I have to go back and like listen to okay, how did I play that for that particular solo?
Right,
I can't
right.
remember how I played it.
Yeah. One of the things we were about to talk about reminded me of a good way to use this as someone who is very minimal. I am in my playing. Like I get a lot of different tones just from my guitar. I like using my pickup switch, volume, and tone knobs. And with my Reverend now, there's so much versatility. Like I don't need to have my effects give me the tone I need unless it's a specific effect, like a chorus. I can't turn on a chorus with my guitar. But as far as like overdrives and amp drives, I like to get a lot of my tone from my neck pickup, and then I'll switch it down to my bridge, and I get the tones I need from that pretty much. And so a good way to use this that I haven't really talked about on my channel is I've been using this more and more. And so I'm thinking I'm going to make a video about it soon. But instead of using a preset per song, I've been using snapshots per song because you can set your BPM to snapshot. So when you switch a snapshot, the BPM will also change. And so what I've been doing is leaving it in stomp mode, but you can have like just one button scroll through your snapshots and it'll just keep, snapshot up and it'll scroll through your songs. And then usually I just have like an overdrive and then maybe a big ambient reverb. And that would be all I would need on a unit like this. If you go up to the XL, I might as well get it because I have it. You have more
Sweet.
buttons, so you can scroll through your snapshots and have four different things in stomp mode. If you have the LT, you can do much more. And so I've been really enjoying that where I can just press up and have the snapshot ready to go for the next song. And then if like in the chorus I want to add the drive, then it's just like that's only one button I have to click. And if I want to do swells, it's just one more button. I don't have to tap dance everywhere. And so I'm really enjoying that. And so if you do have the small all-in-one unit like this, it's still super versatile. You can reach every song with a snapshot here and pick two things to turn off and on and use the tone from your guitar. You can make a lot of good sounds with that. So yeah.
Yes, you can indeed, indeed, and of course we were talking about this in a live context, and for actually my HX Stomp I use it roughly 75-25 studio and live. So most of the time the HX Stomp is really used in my recording context, and with a unit like HX Stomp, it really forces you to think of it gets you to the tone faster. So 8 blocks is really quick to dial in, and that keeps up the creative momentum. Sometimes I find that with Helix and with the bigger unit, I've got even the Pod Go. Yeah, the Pod Go is a still a bit of an upgrade from HX Stomp in terms of usability, and it's got the expression pedal, it's got one more snapshot and kind of thing. So a lot of these things sometimes distract me from the creative moment. And with HX Stomp, I do find that I get work done faster, and this is pertinent for us in Singapore because we are still in a semi-lockdown kind of mode. We can't gather in very much, and even if we do gather, there are quite a few restrictions that are in place, such that it makes it very hard to serve live on the Sunday service. So right now, everyone still does virtual recording, and I do find that if we need to record a song, 2 songs per week, things come by very fast. There's a quick turnaround time. We really need to get the creative juices flowing without getting hindered by the technical stuff, getting bogged down.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the things you said in your last video. Option paralysis is one of the points, and I was like, that's a real thing. We could probably do a whole video on that, especially as like worship leader. I had a rehearsal last night, and I just had a really busy day. Had a lot of things I had to remember. And as worship leaders or band directors, whether you're the one singing or not, you have a lot of other things to think about. You got your tone to think about. You got your parts to think about on all the songs. If you are singing, you got like phrasing and knowing the song. There's a lot to think about. And then your bass player was like, hey, did you like what I played there? And I'm like, honestly, I wasn't even listening. I don't know. I had all this other stuff to think about. And so it's a lot to think about. So when you're talking about gear and the tone, having multiple options, it can paralyze. And some people, if it's the only thing you got to think about, then that's fine. You know, you want to have all those options available to you. But a lot of worship leaders have other roles to take care of, and they just need the best tone as quickly and as simply as possible. And I thought, yeah, the option paralysis term, I was like, that's so true.
Which is why we also go with, which is why buying presets saves you the time. I think one of the goals that one of my personal goals, at least when it comes to crafting presets, is thinking about the other person and thinking, how much time can I save this guy? I have a guitar player. The guitar player on my band, he has no time to tweak tones. He's a really busy man. There's so many things happening on his plate. So the last thing he wishes he could spend more time on gear and like tweaking stuff, but he doesn't have. So I help him out with crafting the tone, and when he does, he takes the unit, he takes the patch, he plays it, and like, yeah, this is exactly what I want, what I need. And that to me is encouragement, because that tells me that I'm serving him in that particular way by helping him out that way. So yes, buying presets, selling presets, that's one of the ethos that we have, I suppose.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I'm just remembering when I first got started, I got this Telecaster right here. I got a tuner, and I got the Boss OD3, I think it was, overdrive pedal, and I got my Fender Blues Junior amp. And I didn't know anything about anything. I had only played acoustic. I saw some other worship leaders leading from electric, and I was like, I want to get into that. And so I had some money. I don't remember where I got it, but a friend of mine told me what to get. I got those things, and then I invited a guitar player over, and I was like, can you help me? And I remember the song Your Love Never Fails by Jesus. Sorry, Your Love Never Fails by Jesus Culture came out, and not Kundi, but Chris Kalala, whatever, he was playing like the rhythm part. And I was like, that's what I want. I just want that tone. Can you help me get there? And what's funny now is like, he probably had all kinds of effects or whatever, perfect overdrive. And I just remember looking at the guitar player and thinking, I just want that tone. Can you help me with my one pedal and my guitar? In my Blues Junior? And I mean, he did a pretty good job, but I didn't even understand a pickup switch. I remember watching solos. This guy was our other guitar player, and I had to fill in for him. And he was playing a solo to some song, like Revelation song, a solo he made up. And I had always just kept my pickup selector on the bridge. And I noticed that there was this tone that he had, and it was the neck tone. But I didn't know. I was like, I couldn't even describe in words. I was like, it just has a different sound. I don't know how to tell you. And then I figured it out on my own. I was like, oh, what does this do? And I switched it up there, and I'm like, oh, that's the sound I was looking for. I didn't even have words to express what I wanted to hear and the tone I wanted to have. And it just, we're not born knowing these things. Somebody has to teach us. But I do want to take a little commercial break to talk about the giveaway. If you guys don't know, there is a giveaway right now. We have let's focus here. Here we go. There we go. The Westminster Effects Augsburg. This is a Fender-like amp sim. It's called the Deluxe amp sim. And so I played through it. There's another one called the Geneva, which is more Vox AC30 sounding. And they're both good. If I had to choose, I like the Geneva better, because I feel like I'm just turning into more of a Vox kind of a sounding person. But this thing is awesome as well. So you can win this. I'm going live November 12th at around noon. That's when the giveaway ends. You click the link in the description. It takes you to kingsumo.com, which is where I do my giveaways, and enter your email, and then you're entered to win. But there's also some bonus entries that you can do and increase your chances of winning. So yes, go check it out. You want this, you do. And this is one of those things, we can talk about it. It's kind of like, if somebody doesn't have, what is this new, $5.99? $4.99? I don't remember.
I know it in Singapore dollars, but that's not helpful for you.
Yeah, tell us.
That's like 900 Singapore, but I think that's 500
yeah. When I bought it, it was $5.99 new, and I got this for 500 even at my Guitar Center because it had a little scratch on it, and I was like, oh, I got a good deal. But this right here is like $220, and it still has, it's not stereo, it doesn't have all the effects. But if you're just have a pedal board or an HX effects and you're used to going in an amp and you are required to, or you're just wanting to dabble in going direct, these little boxes are pretty interesting because you still have all the tones of an amp. You can come out XLR. You can go drive through. You can still come out and go to an amp if you want and have it as a monitor, whatever. So a lot of flexibility with this. If you guys want to win it, go check it out. But
it's interesting you brought up the point of like that kind of budget option, because I think if I also had that little experience of like, I mean, my life wasn't all Helix or all giant pedal boards all the time. I also did dabble in smaller little like pedal tray nano rigs, and I had the Joyo and the Moore stuff.
okay.
And I did think that one of the challenges is making mono sound good. And I think that particular M Sim and the Geneva, they don't take stereo, right? So it's all completely mono, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think that if you're someone who hasn't had the experience of, because stereo processing is a whole different world,
Yeah.
and I think it is helpful to appreciate the how to sound good in mono first before jumping into like, oh, I need my what scale should I set the delay at, or what spread should I set the delay at, or how do I get the ping pong to sound this particular way?
Right.
Like, get it to sound good in mono first. If it sounds good in mono, you'll appreciate how stereo works later, I think.
That's true. For a while on my channel, and then in the Expanse Pack, I would make like stereo presets and mono presets. Now they do this thing, sums things to mono, and it sounds pretty good. Like I'll make a stereo patch, and lately it's been fine. But there was a time where I was having like really wet stereo effects, and in my experience, the reverbs and delays can take over a mono signal if they're dialed in for stereo, because stereo takes all that information and spreads it out, and it sounds spatial and beautiful. And then when you take those same settings and cram them into mono, it can be too much. And so I find I dial back more the reverb, dial back the delay when going to mono. So that's a good word, like learning to dial in sounds for mono, because most venues, it seems, are mono. So getting, at least knowing how, especially if you're going to go visit and play somewhere. I was mono forever until we recently got a new sound system, and we can pan stereo. And I mean, that's great too. Sending stereo to your ears, my in-ears, and having two channels.
Oh, glorious. Glorious.
I don't even care what it sounds like in the house. It just sounds good in my ears. That's all I care.
And that's a separate point too that we should at least be aware of, and that there's an interface between the worship ministry and the audio-visual ministry, the AV ministry. I'm not sure about what's like in the US, but here in Singapore, it seems that the worship ministry and the AV ministry are like completely separate. And sometimes the guys on the sound console don't know how to like handle stereo effects or stereo inputs. In fact, for a long time, there was there are some churches that I know where the sound system is like, it's a stereo sound system, but everything on the board is like the pan controls in the center. So it doesn't matter whether you put in stereo or not, everything gets sound to mono anyway.
Right.
So yes. Yeah. So learning how to tweak in mono doesn't solve the issue, but it works around the issue that some venues and some AV ministries don't know how to tweak in stereo yet.
Right. And just like, yeah, our team, luckily I've been blessed that our sound guy right now, our production director, he is a guitar player, way better guitar player than me. So he understands sound. He's in his own band and stuff. So I've been blessed. But what is true is like he's building his team of volunteers, just like I'm building my team of volunteers. And not everyone who's running sound that particular Sunday knows all those things. And so you're exactly right. And the whole stereo versus mono discussion kind of depends on the room you're in, because you have a really wide room. There's no sense in sending certain information this side of the room and different information to that side of the room, but there is an art to it, especially with like vocals, being able to spread them out a little bit and get a little stereo width, so not everything is coming straight down the middle. It's an art, just like crafting tone through a guitar. You know, mixing is its own art.
Indeed.
So
Even the venue plays a role in the kind of tone you craft. I serve in a cinema hall. So actually one of the things that one of the points of the plus points of HX Storm was the quick turnaround and set up and tear down, because my church is we have a satellite service in the cinema hall, and when we do have to set up and tear down, everything has to be done very quickly because we only have the hall rented for a certain amount of time. And the cinema hall, and I'm not sure whether you guys know the acoustics in there, but it's very dead. It's acoustically dead. There's very little, like when you do a clap, there's no
disappeared.
yeah, it just disappears into, because everything gets absorbed. So stereo processing and like the stereo reverbs and the delays do help to create a sense of space, because there is no sense of space in as far as acoustic information goes. This is very different if you're in like a cathedral, if you're in like a church where you're in a sanctuary or something, and there's the hall to play around with, and in that sense, when you do have a big hall, your wet section suddenly becomes too wet.
Yeah.
And when I take the same preset and go to my cinema hall, the wet section is not wet enough. I need to crank up the delay a bit more, crank up the reverb a bit more.
That's good. 'Cause I play in basically two different places often. My church building, which would be more, it's carpeted, it's got sound panels on the wall. It's a big room, but there's not a lot of echo. And then I play in a chapel that's like it's a big old chapel, stained glass windows, and you clap in there and it echoes through. And so, yeah, exactly. And I had to, I asked the sound guy yesterday. I said yesterday, I think it was Tuesday. I'm losing my days. Is it Thursday where you are?
It's Thursday. No,
night?
wait, is it Thursday? No, yeah, Thursday night. I'm losing my days too, man.
We don't even know what day it is. But I had to ask the sound guy. He was a new sound guy, so I wanted him to be able to be honest with me. I was like, "Is it too wet?" Because I have it set for where I normally play, but I wanted to make sure that, because if it's too wet, your tone gets buried. You can't even hear the parts. You just hear the reverb fragment. We were talking about the size. This can fit in your backpack, but what I've been doing, even with this fits in my my Reverend guitar case right by the neck.
Nice.
Like I have a square, a rectangle guitar case. So this like fits perfectly in there, snug against the net. I usually wrap it in a shirt or something, and like having one thing to carry, especially when I've been using my little wireless things for like plugging in, having one thing to carry to like go to a quick set. Like we've been doing like some songwriting sessions, and I just need something quick to set up. We're not playing in a big venue or anything, but like I can just grab my guitar, throw that in there, and I have one thing to carry. That's a huge benefit for me.
It is. And do you use an expression pedal with your Stomp XL?
I don't use an expression pedal a lot. I like mine. This is the one I have. I have the Dunlop. I love using them. I love using an expression pedal for swells and different things, but it's one of those things that honestly, it's like one more thing to think about. And a lot of times I don't think about it. And I've gotten so used to swelling with my volume knob. I was in chapel yesterday, and I even had the LT with the volume pedal on there, but the sweep of it was just, I hadn't gotten used to it. And so I just still did it with my volume knob, just because it's just what I was used to. And I didn't want to think about something new. And so I haven't used this as much. This used to be on my board. But then when I got, this is my board. But then when I got the overdrive here, it changed spots. So anyways, I just shared on a story of mine on Instagram this morning. There's a board that's similar to this, but it's all white. Even the white board down here, I was like, I think I want to go all white now because it shows up better on camera. It's nothing to do with the tone.
It's quite funny. If you're in the cinema hall where I serve, black things get lost quite easily. So I've lost a ton of the Dunlop Jazz 3 picks because they're black, and when it falls on the floor and there's no light, I'm like, okay, that's gone.
That's
so
gone. That's gone.
I've had to change the red color ones because the red color ones like sort of blend into the carpet in the cinema. So oh my goodness. So yes, color does make a difference in visibility.
Yeah, I posted that on Instagram, and somebody messaged me, and they're like, "Well, that would reflect light in a whole new way." I think it might. We want to point to Jesus, not point to our pedal board. So I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, well, man,
Mm.
this was a good conversation. I want to have you back on the channel, so we don't need to talk about everything. But yeah, it was good to have you on here. Plus, you got to get to bed. It's getting late over there, and I got a day
What
to
time is it
start.
now? Oh, no, that's all right. You know how parents are. We don't really sleep very much, and
You don't sleep. Yeah, exactly. You'll be up for hours, I'm sure. You got to do your dream feed. She's still young, right? She's
yeah,
only
yeah.
7 months. You said.
7.5, 8 months next week, and in fact,
Oh,
I don't know whether it's called a blessing or not, but I think she's dropping the dream feed. Like we've been trying to feed her, and it's not happening. She just doesn't want it, and yeah, we've got our nights back. My wife and I were toying with the idea of going on a date night tomorrow night after she goes to bed.
nice. That's awesome. I know you got to prioritize that stuff or it doesn't happen. I know that for a fact. So, anyways, well, man, it was good to have you on the channel. I just noticed you're sponsored by JHS pedals back there. I see it.
No, those are just like pedal stickers that I put on mine. This is my PC tower.
Oh, nice. Okay. You also have another pedal board. I was about to end the video, but why? You also have another pedal board with like the specular reverb version 2 or something on there and some other effects.
Yes, yes. I do have a tiny nano. No, the nano board didn't really get sold. It's still around, and I still have pedals from my past life. I'm putting together a Nuneba centric board. So I got the Nuneba Neuron, the Immerse, the Iconoclast, and I've got the specular reverb and the clockwork delay, which is the V2, the very old ones. And when I put that together, that basically becomes my headphone amp practice rig. Actually, I'm going to do a video about this, but I'm going to
Okay.
do a video of how to practice with a baby. So that is now my TV sound system pedal board that I leave there because it's right next to the cot, and I can play guitar and worship with my daughter, and
Well,
while she's still in the cot. So that's how I'm talking a bit more practice with that.
how to practice with a baby. I see that being a good YouTube video. I actually have something. I haven't even opened the box yet, but there's New XFX sent me this MP2
Ah,
Mighty plug, and I think I haven't opened it yet, but like it's Bluetooth to an iPad, and on the iPad, it's kind of like HX Edit, where you can like pick your amps, and it just you plug this into your guitar, and on the side of it, it has a headphone out, so you can just wear headphones, plug into your guitar, and walk around and play, and use like an iPad or maybe an app on your phone to like change mode. So I don't know if that's any good, but it seems like that might be an option for how to practice with a baby in the house.
wireless is important because you don't want the baby to trip over the cables on the floor.
True. So tell me, I know you'll talk about this in your video, but I'm interested. The new neighbor stuff. I bought a new neighbor wet when it first came out, and I had the mono one. Would you mentioned some other? That's okay. You mentioned unless you got to go. Do you need to go?
No, I think she's fine. We're trying. This is part of sleep training, which means that we're trying like get her to sleep on her own.
Right.
If you don't mind the cry in the background.
No, no, it's fine. I mean, I had some screaming earlier. I don't know if it picks up, but the new neighbor wet. But you mentioned the immerse, which that's a reverb. But then you just mentioned two more, and I'm not really familiar with them anymore. What do they do?
Right, the Neuron is like their preamp. It's
Okay.
People use it as a distortion pedal, but it's a full on preamp. It's got a compressor, a EQ. It's got like tightness and presence controls on it as well. MIDI controllable too, so it does a lot of things. It's got a pretty neat distortion sound. It really does remind me of like the Pliny, like that kind of like really shreddy kind of sound.
Right.
That's the Nuneba Neuron, and I've got the Iconoclast, which is like their speaker simulator, which has
Oh,
an headphone output for you to plug in headphones and silent jam. So the idea being, if you get the Neuron and the Iconoclast, it's like your full dry section with amp and capsim. So
gotcha.
and it sounds really good. It's its own sound. They are not apologetic at all in saying that they're not trying to mimic anyone. So it does. You won't find Vox tones. You won't find Fender tones on there. You'll find Nuneba tone. It's like their own brand of stuff. It sounds really good. I do want to have videos in the pipeline about this
Yeah.
once. Maybe when my little daughter grows up a bit more, a bit more time.
Yeah. Well, man, let's end it here. I appreciate you coming on the channel. Worship
Thanks for
Leader
having me.
Cam. If you don't, if you're not subscribed to his channel, go check it out. What was the name of it again? All About Worship Guitar, right?
All about worship guitar. Yes, that's right.
It is a long title, even though it's very specific. It's good. All About Worship Guitar with Justin Chan. Yes. So go subscribe to his channel. Check out his stuff over at the Buy Me a Coffee. Subscribe to this channel for more videos. I got a lot of stuff coming up. Remember the giveaway and all the fun things. And yeah, I think that's it. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.